At my wedding, my husband's family mocked my mom in front of 201 people, then said to one of the guests, "That's not a mother, that's a mistake in a dress." My fiancé laughed. I didn't. I got up and called off the wedding in front of everyone. Then I did this. The next day, their world collapsed because my name is Lauren. I'm 31, a stockbroker, the eldest daughter of a nurse who worked night shifts, and a mechanic who taught me how to read numbers like a second language. I don't drink before noon. I check futures before coffee. I can quote earnings calls like song lyrics. People say I'm composed. That day I wasn't. It was my wedding day. Black tux, slim tie, cufflinks from my dad's old toolbox. Little chrome discs polished so clean you could see the ceiling lights in them. My mom sat in the front row in a navy dress she'd saved up for, smoothing the skirt with hands that have lifted more patience than I can count. She looked nervous and proud at the same time. I kept looking at her to steady myself. A server brushed past with a tray of champagne. Laughter rolled from the cluster of my fiancé's family near the aisle. I heard the laugh I knew too well, high and sharp, his father's, and then the words clear as a bell cutting through the violin music warming up. "Look at that one," his uncle said, not bothering to lower his voice. "That's not a mother. That's a mistake in a dress." My spine went cold. I turned. They weren't whispering. They weren't even pretending. My fiancé Lana was with them. He pressed his lips together like he was trying not to laugh, then actually laughed. A quick, bright burst like someone popping a balloon. My mom heard. I watched the smile slip. The corners sank. She looked down like maybe the fabric could swallow her. I didn't think. I moved. The wedding planner's face blurred. The violinist stopped mid-note. I took the microphone from the DJ with a calm I didn't feel. I could hear my own breath in the speakers. "Hey," I said. "Before we start, I need to say something." 201 heads turned. Guests rustled. Lana's father folded his arms like a referee who'd been waiting for a foul. I looked at my mom, then at Lana. "If you can laugh when someone calls my mother a mistake, you don't get to be my husband." Lana's smile fell so fast, it looked rehearsed in reverse. His mother hissed, "Don't be dramatic." I set the mic on the table, the thud echoing. "This isn't drama, it's a boundary." I took off the ring I hadn't yet placed and put it next to the mic. Ceremony's off. Someone gasped. Someone clapped once and stopped. The violinist cleared his throat. My mom covered her mouth with both hands. The room tilted and went quiet. I walked toward the exit, past centerpieces we'd argued about, past the cake I'd paid for, past faces that would become stories. Lana said to the room more than to me, "She's overreacting. She'll come back." I didn't. I opened the door. Cool air, an empty hallway. The smell of kitchen garlic and fresh flowers hit me at once. I kept walking. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Group chat lit up. My head was buzzing louder. I didn't check any messages. I found a quiet service corridor and leaned my forehead to the cool wall tile. I thought about my mom's hands. I thought about every overtime shift. I thought about a laugh like a match head. Then I thought about money, not because it was first, but because it's how people tell you who they are. I met Lana 3 years ago when his startup wanted me to advise on a friend and family round. He liked that I knew what a COVID-like clause was, and that my shirts didn't wrinkle when I took my jacket off. I liked that he was fast. Fast to text, fast to laugh, fast to plan a future like ordering tapas, one of everything. "We'll figure it out," we said. His family was different. Loud dinners, opinions like salvos, jokes that were just jokes until you asked them to stop. It was a culture of, we say everything to your face, which meant they said whatever hurt and called it honesty. The first time Lana's father met my mom, he said, "You work nights? How quaint." Then he winked at me. I told myself it was tone deafness, not malice. That becomes a habit. You start sanding the edges off people until they fit the picture you've already hung on the wall. I paid for things because I could. The venue deposit, the photographer, the florist who only took meetings at 6 o'clock a.m. on Tuesdays. Lana and I agreed we'd keep finances separate until after the wedding. Still, my card ended up on everything. I didn't mind. Love makes you generous. It also makes you slow to take inventory. There were little red flags that looked beige in the right light. His brother asked me at Thanksgiving if I could park 10 grand in my account for a day or two because his limit was being weird. When I said no, he laughed like I told a joke and said, "You're the Wall Street girl. Move some numbers." Lana smoothed it over. He's kidding. He wasn't. His dad liked to make speeches about how real men provide and family is an ecosystem. Every speech ended with him handing me the check at dinner. Not for me to sign, but to put my card down. The first time it felt like acceptance. By the 10th, it felt like a tax. Then planning got tight. We had a spreadsheet. We had tabs. We had a calendar invite called Final Budget that pinged and gave me a headache. Lana wanted the string quartet, the donut wall, the fog machine for the first dance. I wanted to get married without a loan. We compromised by me paying and calling it a team effort. My mom kept quiet. She'd show up to fittings with granola bars and safety pins, take up the pins that were too long, sit on a bench in department store lighting, and say everything looked beautiful. Once in the car, she said, "You sure they like you?" I said, "They love me." She looked out the window and didn't answer. The week before the wedding, things got meaner. Lana's uncle sent a photo in the group chat of my mom's dress from a fitting and wrote, "Cute. Is that from the clearance rack?" Someone reacted with a laughing emoji. Someone else said, "At least she won't outshine the bride." I typed 3 different replies and deleted all of them. I told my mom the group chat was muted. 2 days before, Lana called me at work. "My dad's friend can hook us up with an investment property if we wire $50K before month end. It's not a big deal. Paperwork later." I said, "No." He went quiet. Then, "You don't trust my family." I said, "I don't wire money with no paperwork." He hung up and texted me a heart an hour later. Then another message. "Could you at least upgrade the bar package? It's embarrassing." The words sat in my chest like a rock. The morning of the wedding, I woke up early, checked futures, checked my tie, checked on my mom. She sent me a selfie, her in that navy dress, hair up, eyes a little watery. She wrote, "Proud of you." I wrote back, "Wait until you see the dance." I meant it. I wanted that day to be clean. Then the comment, then the laugh, then the mic, the ring, the door, the hallway. In the corridor, my phone buzzed like a hornet nest. Lana, "First come back, you're making a scene." Then his mother, "You apologize to me and my brother, or we'll be seeking compensation for the embarrassment and the venue costs." His brother, "You owe us for flights." His dad, "This will be an expensive mistake." I stared at the screen and thought about the invoice spreadsheet I'd been keeping on my laptop. I thought about the retainer agreements, the contracts with my name on them, the chargebacks I could file, the caller ID history that looked like a timeline of who thinks you're a wallet. I put the phone away. I went back inside, but not to the ceremony. I found my mom by the bathrooms, dabbing under her eyes with a folded napkin like she could erase the scene if she pressed long enough. "I'm sorry," I said. She shook her head. "Don't you dare apologize for me." "I canceled it," I said. She swallowed. "Good." We stood there in the hum of the HVAC and the clink of glasses. "Go home," I told her. "I'll handle the mess." My mom squeezed my hand. "It's not a mess. It's a beginning." I nodded, not believing it yet. Then I started making calls. The point wasn't the insult. It was the laugh. The point wasn't the money. It was the math of respect. I called the venue manager first. "Contract holder is me. Ceremony is canceled. Please hold any refunds for the card on file. We'll need to itemize damages." I emailed him from my phone, standing in a stairwell with a mop bucket and a stack of folded linens. I attached receipts. I attached screenshots. People act different when you have your paperwork ready. Then I called the photographer. Per clause 7B, deliver only the images of my side and neutral shots. Do not distribute a gallery link to the groom's family. I'll pay the balance now. I paid. I called the florist. "Pick up the arch at 5 p.m. and send me the fee schedule for restocking. Do not release anything to anyone without my written approval." I called my bank. "Flag any charges from vendors not on this list. Decline additional bar upgrades requested today." I called my apartment building. "Please add my mother to the guest list. She's staying with me." Between calls, I walked back through the ballroom. People had scattered into groups. Whispers. Lana was at the head table with his parents, fingers flying over his phone. His mother saw me and stood like she'd been waiting to pounce. "You humiliated us," he said. You humiliated my mother. I said it was a joke. No, I said. A joke lands on yourself. An insult lands on someone else. Lana said, Lauren, can we talk alone? His voice went soft, a tone I'd seen turn knives into spoons with servers and clerks. In a minute, I said. First, your mother needs to apologize to mine. His mother laughed without humor. We don't apologize for jokes. Then you don't get access to anything I paid for, I said. Bar, DJ, bus, nothing. This event is over. His dad stepped in, jaw tight. Son, I'm not your son. My voice was even. And for the record, the deposits are mine. The contracts are mine. The card is mine. He blustered something about reputations. I didn't hear the rest because a server tugged my sleeve. The DJ wants to know if he should keep the equipment. Pack it up, I said. Lana grabbed my arm. If you walk out, nobody will ever forget it. If I stay, I said, I'll forget myself. That was the breaking point. Not because it was loud, but because it was quiet. I set the rules down like you set down a plate so it doesn't break. And I walked away for the last time. In the parking lot, a groomsman asked if I was okay. I said, not yet. He offered a ride. I said, I drove. I watched a white limousine pull up, stop, idle, then turn around. The driver got my text. One less thing for them to weaponize. I got in my car, closed the door, and let the silence be heavy. Then I drove home to set the rest in motion. People think aftermath is fireworks and sirens. It's actually passwords, PDFs, and the ping of emails going exactly where you planned. I sat at my desk, tie loosened, jacket on the back of the chair, and got to work. First, money. I closed the joint wedding account we'd never really used, except for show. Balance, 12 cents and a feeling. I filed chargebacks on any last-minute upgrades that had hit my card since Thursday. 2 had been requested from a tablet the venue keeps behind the bar. Easy to prove, easier to reverse. I sent the screenshots to my bank's concierge team with a short note. Unauthorized by cardholder, wedding canceled due to defamation of a family member, supporting documentation attached. Dry words with a sharp edge. Second, contracts. I sent a formal notice to the venue citing the clause that transfers control to the payer in cases of event cancellation. I CC'd my attorney. I CC'd Lana, not to taunt, but to timestamp. You learn in markets that timing beats noise. Third, narrative. I'm not a poster. I don't live in public. But I also wasn't going to let a single group chat recycle me into the villain of a story I paid for. I wrote exactly 3 sentences in the family thread that had been blowing up all afternoon. Event is canceled. An apology to my mother was requested and refused. Refunds due will be handled by me as the contract holder. I disabled replies. I left the chat. The silence felt like moving out of a house while everyone was still sleeping. My phone lit up with Lana's name, then his mother's, then a string of unknown numbers, then a text from his brother. You're done. People will hear about this. Let them, I thought, and opened my email instead. There's an unromantic folder on my desktop called Wedding Docs, another called Lana Family. I hadn't made the second one on purpose. It had grown over time. Screenshots of jokes, invoices I hadn't meant to keep, a PDF of a loan agreement his dad sent me once, with my name typed into a signature block without permission. There was also a photo, my mom sitting on a bench outside a bridal boutique while Lana and his mother posed in a mirror, cropped to exclude her. I'm not a revenge person, but I am a boundary person. Boundaries without enforcement are wishes, so I enforce mine with paper. I drafted a letter. Simple, professional, boring on purpose. To whom it may concern, due to slander directed at my mother at a public event on date, I have canceled the ceremony. As contract holder and payer on accounts list, I will coordinate refunds directly. Do not contact my mother. Any further communication should be directed to my counsel at email. I attached a separate letter for the loan agreement notifying them that any signature used without consent constituted fraud and that any attempt to submit it would be met with immediate legal action. I CC'd the family lawyer whose card I'd been handed at a barbecue with a wink. Send, send, send. Then I did what most people forget is an option. I took care of my mother first. I ordered her dinner delivered from the place she likes. Lemon chicken, extra sauce. I texted, eat, hydrate. We'll watch the dumb singing show at 8. She sent a heart and nothing else. That said enough. By 7:00 p.m., I had 8 voicemails. I listened to the first 2. Lana, if you don't come back and fix this, no one will ever work with you again. Work with me as if weddings are networking events and my mother is a prop. Delete her mother. You will reimburse us for our humiliation. We have receipts. I smiled at that one. Me too, I said to my empty apartment and dragged the folder, called Receipts, onto the external drive I keep for things I never want to lose. By 9:00 p.m., a new email started from the venue. Per your notice, we've halted all service and are preparing a reconciliation. The DJ, equipment retrieved, invoice attached. The florist, restocked arch at a partial credit, statement attached. The photographer. Here's the download link to the RAWs you requested. I will not share with third parties. A weight I hadn't named started to lift. You don't notice how heavy some people are until they're not sitting on your chest anymore. At 10 p.m., my doorbell rang. I checked the camera. 2 men I didn't recognize. Suits too shiny. I didn't open it. They left a manila envelope wedged between my door and the frame. Inside was a letter on a template I could have drafted in my sleep. We represent the family of Lana. Your conduct today inflicted reputational harm and financial loss. You are hereby demanded to compensate the following. They'd itemized flights, a hotel block they hadn't paid for, a hair makeup deposit, emotional distress. My favorite, always hard to audit. At the end, a demand for $75,000. I wrote a number on the top of the letter, $0. Then I wrote another, the actual total I had paid to date. Venue, DJ, band deposit, florist, rentals, transportation, the cake, the tuxes I bought outright because their rental plan was a mess. It was higher than $75,000. It was a number that had felt romantic and now felt informative. At midnight, my mom called. I can't sleep, she said. Me neither, I said. Can I say something? Always. I didn't raise you to be a doormat. You did right, her voice wobbled. I'm sorry your day was like that. Me too, I said and stared at the ceiling. But it's still my day. Then keep it, baby, she said. Don't give them the rest of it. I turned off the phone. I turned on the dumb singing show. I watched people in sequins sing songs about surviving the storm. I laughed once, a real laugh, when a judge cried at a key change. Then I fell asleep on the couch in my tucked shirt, tie undone, ring box on the coffee table like a paperweight holding down a life I wasn't going to live. Morning came like it always does, unremarkable, merciless, clarifying. I made coffee. The grind sounded like rain on a tin roof. I opened my email. There were 3 messages that mattered. 1, from my bank, chargebacks approved, temporary credits issued. 2, from the venue. Per your contract rights, we are returning the balance after fees to the card on file. We will note that the event was canceled by the payer due to harassment of a guest. We will not provide statements to third parties. 3, from a compliance officer at a brokerage I used to cover as a sell-side analyst. The officer wrote, "We have received a complaint referencing your name and supposed misconduct. The attached screenshots appear to be fabricated." There were images attached, a fake text thread between me and Lana's brother implying insider trading. The kind of Photoshop job that only fools people who want to be fooled. The complaint had been submitted from an email address that included Lana's last name. That was the moment their world started to tilt. I replied professionally and forwarded the whole thing to counsel with a note. Add defamation to the file. Seek preservation of metadata from the platform and the sender. Then I sent a separate email, quiet, polite, to Lana. Please advise your brother to cease any and all references to my work. You are placing yourself in criminal exposure. This is not a bluff. 10 minutes later, my phone lit up with a number I didn't know. I let it go to voicemail. It was his dad. We don't want war. We want a settlement. I poured more coffee. You had a settlement, I said to the mug. It was called respect. I sent one last email, a tiny 1-sentence request to the photographer. Please send my mother the 2 photos from the bridal boutique where she's in the mirror. The reply came with a link. There she was, my mom, tying my tie and both of us pretending we weren't emotional about it. You couldn't crop her out of this one. By noon, the story they'd been telling themselves started to fall apart. Friends reached out, heard what happened. We've got your back. The violinist texted me a link to a video someone had taken of my little speech. It wasn't online, thank God. But in it, my voice didn't shake. My hand didn't tremble. I looked like someone I recognized. Then my doorbell rang again. This time it was a courier with a small box. The ring. Lana had messed it back with a sticky note, return receipt, no apology, no acknowledgement, a note like a receipt. I signed, closed the door, and finally exhaled like I meant it. People want closure to be a grand gesture. Sometimes it's a spreadsheet you don't have to open anymore. A week later, I met my mom at a diner we used to go to after her shifts when I was a kid. She ordered pancakes with strawberries. I ordered eggs, and the kind of coffee that tastes like it was brewed in a steel boot. We sat by the window. The sun hit the Formica like stage lights. "How's your heart?" she asked. "Less noisy," I said. "How's yours?" "Bruised," she said, "but proud." She smiled in that tired way nurses smile when they've seen the worst and still show up. "You protected me. You protected you." I nodded. "I thought love would make it all make sense," I said. "Turns out respect does that. Love without it is just a costume." My phone buzzed once on the table. An email from counsel. Settlement offer withdrawn by their side. Reason. Mutual decision to disengage. Translation. They realized the billable hours would hurt more than my speech did. Good. Another email from the photographer. The final album, my side only, as requested. The first photo was my mom tying my tie, both of us pretending we weren't emotional. The last one was a photo of an empty aisle with flower petals scattered like confetti for a party that didn't deserve them. "What will you do now?" my mom asked. "I'm going to work," I said, "and I'm going to visit you on your day off and fix the leaky sink. And I'm going to stop pretending that people who don't respect me are complicated instead of just cruel." We ate. We didn't talk for a while. It was a quiet that didn't hurt. That afternoon, I called the venue and told them to donate the leftover flowers to the hospice ward at my mom's hospital. They sent a photo later, a row of vases in a hallway where people learn the shape of endings. It felt right, something beautiful salvaged from something ugly. Lana texted me 2 weeks after that. "We should talk for closure." I typed and deleted 3 replies. Then I wrote, "We had closure. It happened when you left." I blocked his number, not to punish, but to stop a door from swinging in an empty frame. Months went by. I slept. I lifted. I took my mom to a matinee on a Tuesday because we could. When markets were bad, I didn't look to someone who despised me for comfort. When markets were good, I didn't feel the urge to buy forgiveness with a nicer bar package. And then one morning, my inbox pinged with a note from a client who'd heard the story third hand. "You kept your boundary in public. I want a broker who will do the same when a boardroom gets ugly." He moved his account to me. It wasn't about the commission. It was a reminder that the world doesn't end when you do the right thing in front of people who expect you to fold. The last piece arrived quietly. A plain envelope in my mailbox with no return address. Inside, a handwritten apology on lined paper, shaky pinstrokes. "Lauren, I'm sorry for what I said about your mother. It wasn't a joke. It was cruel. I've never been good at apologies. I'm trying. Lana's aunt. It didn't fix anything. It didn't have to. I folded it, put it in a drawer with the cufflinks." That same day, my mom texted me a photo of the flowers at the hospital with a caption that read, "Your mess made their hallway beautiful. Here's my closure." Written in words simple enough, I don't have to reread them to remember. I will never stand next to someone who laughs at my mother. I will never buy my way into a family by financing their disrespect. I will not let love be an excuse for erasing myself at the door. I am Lauren. I didn't get married that day. I got something else. A life with a lock on it, and a list of names who keep keys only if they earn them. And for once, I didn't have to check a chart to know I was free.